Hi everyone, the book I'm reviewing today is called Who by Geoff Smart and Randy Street. In my last role, I found myself doing a lot of recruitment, and a good friend, Philip, recommended I read this book and another one in terms of recruitment and how I was going about looking for someone. He thought this book would be very useful, and what an absolute gem. I think any manager in whichever industry who is recruiting should definitely read this book. I picked up so many nuggets of gold, not just inspiration from this. It talks very clearly about defining what type of person you want, and you can't truly do that until you don't understand the objective of what it is you're trying to achieve and your corporate culture that enables that, because it's only through understanding that you can then source the right talent, and then they take you through all the different stages of recruiting. Great tips, great exercises, and absolutely fantastic examples. So it makes it really, really easy for you to go about implementing their recommendations. As Zilma told us, I think the fastest way to improve a company's performance is to improve the talent of the workforce, whether it is the ultimate leader or someone leading a divisional organization. It just energizes the company and leads to positive things. And doing so energizes the bottom line too. The value of the company increased 67% over the first 18 months of Zilma's tenure. And this goes to highlight currently there's a lot of hype and discussions around people and the impact they have on your bottom line, the impact they have on how you deliver, how your company comes across. And it really, talent can become your number one problem or your number one success factor that differentiates you. And this is an extract from the chapter called Scorecard. Don't hire the generalist, hire the specialist. Mission statements help you avoid one of the most common hiring traps, hiring the all-round athlete. All-around athletes are the candidates who walk into our offices bearing impressive pedigrees, polished attire, and admirable accomplishments in a wide variety of roles. They seem to be able to do it all. They speak well, learn quickly, offer broad insights on company strategy, and convince us that they can adapt to virtually any challenge or task the company might place on their shoulders. By definition, they are generalists. That's their charm. They are good at many things and can wear lots of different hats, but job requirements are rarely general. If you define the position correctly from the outset, you should be looking for narrow but deep competence. You wouldn't let your family practice doctor perform open heart surgery on you. And in the same way, you shouldn't look for a team full of generalists to solve your business problems. Early in my tenure, I made that choice with a very capable executive. He was innovative, creative, and a splendid business developer. He would conceive of programs and sell them to the customer, but that was not my problem. We had a huge backlog and I needed a guy who could run operations. It was a matter of mining the backlog. So I made the mistake of putting in place a guy who went on to put more orders in the backlog. Operating margins actually went down. It took me a couple of years to address the mistake. The moral of the story was that I later got a guy whose skill set exactly matched the job at hand. He did gangbusters for us. He was all operations. He was probably the best at it in the world. The other guy went on elsewhere to a splendid career where his role matched his skill set. And I think as hiring managers, all of us can share this experience, right? Because we do get very attracted to generalists. And it goes back to the essence of what this book is explaining, that if you don't understand the core purpose of what it is that you're hiring for and what it is that your KPIs are and what you need to achieve, you're going to make this mistake, and sometimes it takes years to then rectify. Not only did Rock evaluate Intel's needs at each point in its history, he deliberately sought leaders whose skills were optimized for each phase of the company's growth. While each CEO was generally talented, all three brought something different to the table along the way. The results speak for themselves. Intel's succession of specialists drove the company's market capitalization to well over $100 billion and led it to the dominant position in the global semiconductor industry. We would hope the same for your business. Most of the jobs for which we hire have 3 to 8 outcomes ranked by order of importance. Outcomes are that clear, and because they cull the pool of possible candidates right from the start. People don't want to fail, and they don't want to go through the dislocation of moving to another company or possibly another city or country if they know their chances of success are minimal. And that's the important thing. No one wants to go and work somewhere where they're not the right fit, or what the company needs and what they're offering doesn't match up. And the importance then of understanding what it is that you need, so you can then cull the necessary talent pool that you're coming across to be able to hire the right person. While typical job descriptions break down because they focus on activities or a list of things a person will be doing, scorecards succeed because they focus on outcomes, or what a person must get done. So an example of what an activity is in terms of what the person will be doing is calling on customers, selling. And an outcome, which is what a person must get done, is growing revenue from $25 million to $50 million by the end of the year. Do you see the distinction? Seek to make the outcomes as objective and observable as possible. Ironically, all that specificity frees new hires to give the job their best shot. They know what they'll be judged on. They know what the company and the boss think is important in their position. Instead of guessing how to do well and careening among a dozen different fronts, they have the game plan right in front of them. That's liberating, not confining. Competencies flow directly from the first two elements of the scorecard. The mission defines the essence of the job to a high degree of specificity. Outcomes describe what must be accomplished. Competencies then define how you expect a new hire to operate in the fulfillment in the job and the achievement of the outcomes. Now we're going to talk a bit about culture fit, right? Culture fit or misfits inevitably affect the bottom line, but they are about much more than money. And here's an example they go through. We wanted a real star for this position that was coming open in one of our countries. So we recruited this very bright, passionate, and unusual guy, and he did an amazing job. On his own, basically, he turned around the president and parliament on AIDS. They had taken the position that AIDS resulted from immorality. He not only got them to apply successfully for a big global AIDS grant, he also convinced them to set up a strong prevention program. But he was an unbelievable pain to work with. Our culture is collaborative, not competitive, but he was one of those people who is so far ahead of everyone intellectually that he couldn't suffer any fools, and that amounted to about 99% of us at ISC as far as he was concerned. We had this emotional meeting where I praised his work, but I told him that he had to bring other people along. His answer was, "Look, George, I know I'm high maintenance." Then he went on to give both a brilliant and extremely accurate critique of himself from my perspective, and a further critique of our lack of field support for him that was so accurate we used it as a work plan to improve on delivery. And this goes to explain, right, in terms of culture fits or misfits and what type of people we hire. The high performers who thrive in a competitive type environment, or is it all about the teamwork, and hence collaboration is so important? And you need to be able to weed this out and assess before you hire. And before you hire, to even make that decision, you need to know what type of organization you have and what is it that you truly want to be able to deliver on what the company needs. Don't be afraid to write down what might seem blindingly evident. In the heat of a hiring crisis, the clearest things sometimes get overlooked. By translating your culture and values into a series of competencies that matter for every job, you can avoid making the mistake of not evaluating candidates for the cultural fits that are absolutely crucial for your enterprise. Centerbridge Partners developed a very specific set of hiring criteria that fits its business strategy and culture. It is not by chance that we achieve more than 90% hiring success, Gallagher now says. We were clear about what types of people we were looking for. Are we clear about what type of people we're looking for when we're hiring? Jim was a very decent human being. John was a first-class mensch. I told them, "You don't know me very well. This is like a marriage. I'm going to tell you who I am and what I'm like. And if you don't think I'm the right person, you don't want to hire me." When I first met Jamie, what I was most impressed by was how blatantly candid he was, she recalled. I'll never forget this. When I am busy and stressed, I can be really abrupt. We sit down, I said, trying to be sensitive. "So tell me a little bit about your leaving Citigroup." He said, "You know what? I was fired." I was stunned because nobody has ever said that to me. Nobody in 15 years has come right out and said that. They say something like strategic differences, yada, yada, yada. My head flew back. Finally, somebody was being totally honest. Diamond had been a long-time protege of Sandy Weill at Citigroup, but conflicts arose during their final years together that resulted in his termination. Long viewed as a rising star on Wall Street, Diamond was given many offers. And they have a specific chapter called Sell. And in the chapter of Sell, they talk about how it is that as hiring managers, we should be selling the job, right? Because recruitment is both ways. And they've got 5 areas which they call the 5 F's of selling in recruitment. And these are fit, family, freedom, fortune, and fun. And fit means showing the candidate how his or her goals, talents, and values fit into your vision, strategy, and culture. People want to make an impact in the world. They want to be needed. They want to be part of something that feels right. Selling fit means showing a candidate how all of these will be met when he or she works with you. And this was quite eye-opening, because how many times do we actually do this? And how many times are we not looking at selling our company and what we're doing and tying that into what the candidate's goals are, to be able to let him or her see how they're going to fit in. And imagine being able to do that, how powerful that would be. But the role of the CEO is to inspire people, and you cannot inspire people unless you get to know them and them you. Don't cut corners on that. It takes energy. CEOs are sometimes afraid to be real people. If you want to extract as much value as possible out of somebody in an organization, you have to let them be themselves. Maybe they talk too much. Maybe they're awkward in front of others. Nobody is perfect. It is not about immediate competency. It's about confidence that builds that competency. If you know that I am confident in you, you are likely to take more risks, to work a little harder, because you know that I'm not going to take your head off if something doesn't work perfectly. That builds competence. Extend the hand of trust, and occasionally extend the hand of friendship. The moral of the story, Howard told us, is this: you've got to do whatever it takes when you are sure you have identified the right person. You do whatever you can. You might not be hiring at a level that justifies a penthouse apartment or a new car, but at any level, persistence pays off. And that's it. Sometimes you've identified the right candidate and you've spent and put in so much of effort to get to this point, and then because we're not persistent enough at the end, we lose our candidates, and persistence does indeed pay off. What makes a successful business in this study that they've conducted, and 52% of all respondents agreed that a successful business is made by management of talent. Collectively, their message couldn't be clearer. Get the talent side of the equation wrong, and you will always face rough waters. You'll spend all of your time dealing with an endless torrent of what issues. Get it right, and you'll have clear skies, smooth seas, and easy sailing. The right who will take care of all of those issues for you. If I look at the Barclays portfolio of businesses compared to our peers, the portfolios are not that different. If you think about competitive strategy, that strategy is not that differentiated bank versus bank. So the differentiation is in execution, and execution is determined by people. And the last extract I want to read to you is they've got a case study here, and it talks about what types of CEOs make money for investors. The results were compelling and controversial. Boards and investors have a tendency to invest in CEOs who demonstrate openness to feedback, possess great listening skills, and treat people with respect. These are executives who have mastered the soft skills. We call them lambs because these CEOs tend to graze in circles, feeding on the feedback and direction of others. Boards love lambs because they are so easy to work with, and in fact, in our study, lambs were successful 57% of the time. It's not a bad success rate. The second dominant profile that emerged from our analysis was of CEOs who move quickly, act aggressively, work hard, demonstrate persistence, and set high standards and hold people accountable to them. We call these CEOs cheaters because they are fast and focused. Cheaters in our study were successful 100% of the time. This is not a rounding error. Every single one of them created significant value for their investors. Conventional wisdom holds that the sort of emotional intelligence lambs show is the critical, important leadership quality. In fact, our analysis argues otherwise. Emotional intelligence is important, but only when matched with the propensity to get things done. Too many executives have fallen into the trap of accentuating their lamb skills at the expense of their cheater qualities. They work hard to stay in tune with their employees. They're well liked on the shop floor and in the boardroom. That's only one problem. They don't produce value at anywhere near the rate cheaters do. This isn't to say that cheaters lack soft skills. To the contrary, they are talented people whose soft skills play a critical role in their ascent to the top job. The difference, though, is that cheaters know when it is time to stop asking for feedback and to attack a target to achieve key outcomes that move a company forward. Basul ascended to the CEO position. Shareholders considered his fast-moving, bold, and persistent style as risk. However, he soon became known as a very successful CEO. Basul quickly killed unprofitable product lines. With equal speed, he evaluated his team and promoted or hired similar-minded, hard-charging leaders while simultaneously reducing management layers from 7 to 3. To better understand customer issues, he had all unanswered customer calls forwarded to his personal cell phone. People said he couldn't do that, but he did it anyway. Was anyone hurt by Salim Basul's hard-charging style? Sure. Non-performers had to adjust or get out of the way, but Basul watched out for the people who stayed. Should you always want to be a cheater, or do you always want to hire a cheater? No. But if you have the choice to be or hire somebody who errs on the side of being too fast and focused versus being slow and extremely collaborative, we recommend going with the fast and focused option. In this fast-paced age of business in which we all exist, it appears that speed and focus really count when it comes on delivering great financial results. So to summarize, lambs, they're respectful, they have listening skills, they're open to criticism. A cheetah moves fast, aggressive, persistent, proactive, high work ethic, and high standards. Do you know which one you want to be? And do we know when we're hiring, firstly, are we lambs or cheetahs? And are we looking to hire lambs or cheetahs? Even in terms of the questions, etc. And the people that we have. Like it's saying in the study, and I only read extracts from the study, right? Cheetahs are not always loved, right? They're seen as high risk, but they deliver on 100%. And of course, there's casualties along the way. There always will be, but what is it that you want to achieve, and who is it that's going to help you achieve that? If you've read the book, let me know, and if you haven't and you do end up reading it, do let me know what you think of it. I would definitely recommend this read. Thanks.